What is the craziest thing you saw take place during a college party?
Oh, yeah!
Story number 1. Some guys at a party at my mate's place found his moonshine and challenged me to do a triple shot of it. About 20 minutes before, I took a triple shot of vodka, so I knew I could handle it. I jokingly told them if I could do it and one of them couldn't, he'd have to light his dick on fire. Well, I did it, he didn't, and right away, he grabbed some deodorant and whipped his cock out and gave it a good spray, then set it on fire. One of his mates had a hose ready, but it went out pretty quick. So he did it again and again until the deodorant ran out, and then he switched to the black spray paint and went running naked down the street with a flaming dick. Story number 2. One of my first jobs was event security. There are a number of venues on college campuses. I got assigned to overnight product watch at a college arena. To date myself, this was a Rugrats show, running for multiple days. They had merch carts they weren't going to set up and take down every night along the perimeter, so it was my job to walk around and keep an eye on them. I'm making my rounds, and I see this girl crossing the quad, I guess from the dorms coming towards the venue, waving at me. She brought a beer for me. Starts some small talk, then says, "So, I've got a party tonight. I thought it'd be cool if the keg had a security guard when I saw you walking around." She had her friend on the balcony that was facing the venue flash me so I could see where it was, and I had a good view. She promised I'd have fun, and she'd make sure I saw lots of tits. 19-year-old me thought this was a good idea. So I followed her up to the dorm, and true to her word, she put a sign on the keg that said, "Tits for beer." I spent about 3 hours getting flashed nonstop and just standing next to the keg. I got freaked out eventually and went back to the venue. But till the party ended around 3, anytime I was in view of the balcony, I got some titty. Story number 3. Went drinking with some guys from the Faroe Islands and tried to keep up. Ended the night with me breaking the window to my townhouse to unlock the door because I'd forgotten I had my keys in my pocket. Talked to the dean the next day. Story number 4. I jokingly bought my friend a blow-up sheep doll to mock his ugly-ass ex for breaking up with him. We blew it up for a party every now and then and dressed it up for the occasion. This all ended when he walked in on his roommates balls deep surrounded by 5 close guys smoking vapes in the spare room during our Christmas party. Story number 5. I think my favorite party I've had in college was when I was studying abroad in Morocco. It was me, a bunch of other Americans, a shitload of people from all around the world, and some rebellious Moroccans all drinking, smoking, dancing, and laughing. There were at least 10 different languages being spoken at once. People were playfully ripping on each other's nations and cultures, and I ended the night by stumbling through the old Medina of Fes at 4 a.m., stopping and drunkenly talking to a shop owner in Arabic to buy some water, then sneaking into my devoutly Muslim host family's house and creeping up to my room to pass the fuck out. Easily the most fun and interesting party I've ever been to. I learned a lot and got to meet some really cool people. Though trying to play off my hangover the next morning at breakfast wasn't so fun. Story number 6. A friend of mine hosted a party in her apartment. It was on the 3rd floor and had a cute balcony overlooking some trees outside. We're all pretty smashed by the end of the night. A small group of us were out on the balcony getting some air. My friend's fiance was sitting on the railing of the balcony, kicking his feet up, trying to balance with no hands. You can see where this is going. Well, over the railing he went. We're all screaming as he fell. Luckily for him, he fell into a tree, which helped with the fall, but he pinballed down his way 3 stories. We ran down to see how badly he was hurt. I was expecting him to be dead, but he was laying there laughing. We called 911 since all of us were too drunk to drive. The homicide unit from the local police department showed up because of the nature of the accident. Once we explained that he was being a dumbass and fell, they left and the ambulance took him to the hospital. He ended up with a lot of scratches and bruises, but no internal bleeding or concussion. Story number 7. One of the hosts started screaming from the back of the house, "Get the fuck out! Get out!" And a half-clothed woman comes scurrying out of a back bedroom trying to get dressed as she ran for the door. Apparently, he walked into his room and found her double-teaming 2 dudes on his bed and he wasn't pleased about it. Story number 8. Friend A wanted to light a shot of Everclear, 190 proof, on fire before shooting it. His hands were unsteady, and he ended up pouring burning Everclear all over his arm. But he panics and flings the shot glass he was holding across the room, shattering it and narrowly missing friend B. Friend A proceeds to charge down the stairs onto the lawn to do the stop, drop, and roll routine while yelling, "Shit, shit, shit!" Friend A suffered no serious burns. We all had a laugh about it the next day. Story number 9. Not me, but a friend of mine blacked out at a house party and woke up the next morning on the side of the road in a small town 2 states over. All he had on him was pants, no shirt or shoes, and a little bit of cash in his pocket. No wallet, no idea where he was, how he got there, and some pretty good bruises all over his body. Ended up finding a mom and pop corner store and called a friend to come pick him up. That's all I can recall off the top of my head. Story number 10. Had a case race one night. Teams of 2. First one to finish 30 beers wins. At the time, I could put down some beer. So could my buddy, Big Jeff. So the clock starts and we start putting down beers. Finished our 30 rack in 42 minutes. So we got a blue ribbon from the Dollar Tree. Big Jeff disappears into his room as I walk up and down the hallway slurring, "We're number 1." After running the halls for an hour or so, I had to break the seal. So I walk into the bathroom to see campus police, our RA, and our RD standing with Big Jeff, who has a big ass hose pointed into the shower. Apparently, he wasn't doing as well as I was, and he threw up all over himself in the bathroom. Went to shower off, and proceeded to throw up and shit in the shower before being discovered by the RA. Side note, it was not the first nor the last time Big Jeff shat in the shower. Story number 11. A dude with no relation to the party was drunk driving on a nearby street and rolled his truck with his girlfriend in the front seat. He crawled out of the wreck, left the girlfriend behind, and took off running toward the party. He ran into the bathroom and started telling everybody that we needed to hide from the cops. The crowd at the party was about 50-50. No, get the fuck out of here. And yeah, fuck the police. The cops got him. Story number 12. I was at a house party and there was a living room slash kitchen combo room. I was crouching down on my tiptoes with my legs bent at the knees to chat to people sitting on a low sofa. Some girl pushed me onto my back and had a good laugh at my expense. When I got back up, I went back into the same position. She decided to do it again, and this time she decided to move around in front of me to get a good double arm push in. This time, as she reached out to push me, I grabbed her hands, and as I fell backwards, I put out a leg and accidentally threw her clean over my head as I fell backwards, and she landed stunned.
And look at Randy Orton slithering. Oh, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Story number 13. I was once at a college party that was basically a costume party. Best costume won a prize. But you didn't have to wear a costume, so most of the people went in their regular clothes. One guy decided that it was a good idea to cosplay as Firestorm from DC Comics. He set himself afire by pouring some chemical substance on his costume, and then he ran like 5 meters in a circle while screaming until someone got the extinguisher and used it on him. Good thing was that he had everything under control and won the prize, but the bad thing was that someone fainted and someone called the police. Story number 14. I lived in off-campus student housing. All 4 houses on my cul-de-sac were unofficial frat houses. We had a block Halloween party one year. Some dude associated with the next house over was dressed as a soldier, complete with a fake gun or grenade, can't quite remember. Anyway, some rando shows up with his buddy, an actual combat vet. Combat vet saw soldier's costume, weapon, and had some kind of episode, flipped his shit and pulled a gun. We didn't find out till later it was just a pellet gun, and physically assaulted our guy. Took several people to separate them, and the combat vet eventually left with his buddy. This barely made a dent in the festivities. Story number 15. Went to a house party with about 50 plus people, all going pretty hard. There was only one bathroom in the house, and after a few hours and far too many drinks, the line to the bathroom was getting pretty long. One guy couldn't wait any longer, so he squatted next to the couch, dropped his drawers, and took a shit right there on the floor. Most people were so drunk they weren't even aware or couldn't really process what had just happened. I left and got Waffle House with some friends. Story number 16. Drank jungle juice all night at this lake house the night of daylight savings. At 1 a.m., it jumped back to midnight, and everybody decided to switch to drinking absinthe. Downstairs had live performances going on, and this rap group was killing it. It came to a call and response part, and when one of the rappers lifted the microphone, it touched the air duct. I'm guessing the setup wasn't grounded well, because soon as the mic touched the air duct, sparks flew everywhere. I couldn't figure out if this was the absence or reality, but the very small fire that was quickly put out definitely shook me back to as close to sobriety as you can get on that much jungle juice and abstinence. Then we got chicken nuggets. Story number 17. During our second year of college, we decided to throw a beach party. The only problem was that we were living in Oklahoma, nowhere near a beach. Determined to make it happen, we came up with a solution. We headed to the local cement plant, bought 2 tons of sand, and used buckets to haul it all the way up to our second-story apartment. After laying down a tarp and pouring the sand out, we were ready to party. Soon enough, about 100 people had shown up with keg stands and beer pong. Cops arrived not once, not twice, but 3 times throughout the night. Even some people who were working at the time showed up and joined in on the fun. Most of the guests, who were in bathing suits, exactly as we planned, were girls. However, we spent most of the night making sure no one did anything too crazy. The next morning, we were greeted by 2 cops and the apartment owner at our door. Surprisingly, they found our idea impressive and gave us a 2-hour ultimatum: have all the sand removed or be evicted. We hustled to clean up, and they returned to inspect the place. They said they wished they could have been part of the party, but also told us never to do anything like it again. Despite the close call, the party was a hit, and to this day, my parents love to tell the story at family functions. Story number 18. Just got to a house party, and there were like 100 pairs of shoes in the entryway. My friends and I were already a little drunk on arrival, and my buddy stumbled over the shoes and put his arm through a glass-stained window when he tried to catch himself from falling. Severed the artery in his wrist. Instantly, there was mass amounts of blood shooting out of his wrist like Spider-Man shoots webs. With every heartbeat came a shower of blood that covered the whole room. He was in shock. We all were. So there were a number of pumps before anyone reacted. We decided not to try and wait for the ambulance and threw him in the car and rushed him to the hospital. He lived. Probably ruined all the shoes though. We never made it in the party or talked to anyone there, so I'm sure someone at some point walked into an unexplained bloodbath. Story number 19. Had a foam party in the house that we rented. Yes, that kind of foam party. The entire first floor was foam, and it poured out the doors, including into the extra foam pit we built out back. Add 12 kegs and 50 cases, and you have a pretty good party for a 75-man frat, especially considered unescorted males were never allowed. How did we pull this off? Our landlord was planning on bulldozing the home and several neighboring homes at the end of the year and building a 7-story building on the land. He essentially said, "You don't ask me to fix little shit, and I don't care what you do with the house." We took this to heart. Pro tip for fraternities: never allow unescorted males in the party. Why? 2 reasons. Fights? No random dudes, no fights. Nothing ends a party as quickly as a fight. 2, better girl to guy ratio. Last story. It was 2010 and we had a 4-bedroom, 4-bath apartment, and we're probably just shy of breaking through the floor with the amount of people that came. Our friend from out of town had a nice tax return and bought 2 kegs, $500 in liquor, and a number of flats of 16-ounce beers. We had a friend who worked at the liquor store and could get the stuff at cost. We invited everyone we knew and put the party on Facebook, bring your own booze. We had 150 people show up. After a while, the cops were called. 3 times. But we didn't stop. There were these guys that came that no one knew. A dad and his 2 teenage sons. They stirred a fight, and another guy who happened to do some work for the complex came, got kicked out. Came back again and literally kicked the door down. One of the sons that came with their dad punched my friend in the face, and he was pushed out and was written down the stairs. His brother joined in the fun, and his earring was ripped out. The dad, being the role model he was, ran away with his now bleeding son and left the other one to be arrested. Meanwhile, the cops are there for the 4th time. All the underage people are hiding in another apartment a floor below, after which the cop is gone and parked at the apartment gate, stopping everyone coming in and out of the complex. We had no alcohol left, and got out of that with no one in any serious trouble or hurt. After that, the complex had a cop that parked in the parking lot every night for the next 3 months, and we were all pretty well known in the building for a while.